So we've got the basic principles of this process just about worked out, and we've got the start of this job. Remember from the training course, we make the statement somewhere there that a complicated roof is a series of simple roofs. And if you have that in the back of your mind all the time, you will find that overall the process of constructing even a roof that's got all the elements that this has in it, it can be broken down into basically a whole bunch of things that are relatively simple. The next part of the job here is to put these very steep-sided parts of the roof on our barn, and I find the best way to do that is with the veranda function. So again, follow your prompts, locate the line to attach your veranda to, so we'll select that line. Now we're going to attach it to the wall, but in fact we want to attach it to the eave, so we'll say no to that. We want to attach it to what is the fascia line. We hit yes, and now it's prompting for the next line in case I was going around the entire building, but there is no more, so we right click out of that. And then which side of the line? Well, we want to be on the outside of the building to hang it off that side, so left click there, and now it's prompting for the details of our porch or veranda. It's still a single story, same story as the rest of the roof. It will be a straight veranda. I want fascia and gutter on the eave, and the depth of it, don't know, so let's measure that. So we zoom right in. I'm going to measure from middle of that line to the middle of that line, and it's about, I would say, my guess is it's supposed to be 2 meters. Whoops, not 20 meters, 2 meters. And the next question is critical to the successful installation of our veranda. This button is a button because it toggles between setting the height of the veranda by setting the height at the gutter, so that's this side of the veranda, or height at the wall, that is to say where the veranda butts into a wall. In this case, we want it to be hanging off that edge of the roof, and that edge of the roof is 8 meters, and it gets that number from the height, Z height of that line. And so now when I build my veranda, it will hang off that line at 8 meters and drop down to whatever it's going to be. And you might remember that we set a pitch, we measured the pitch earlier on at 65 degrees, so blow me down, I've already got 65 there. Oh, I did the other side earlier. Now, in start preparation is going to determine what sort of flashing that goes on that line. So it could be hip end, in this case it's definitely not. It could be a gable end where it will get fascia and fascia as barge, or it could be butting up to a wall, in which case you won't get fascia or barge, you will get side wall or roof to wall. So we're going to have gable end because we want fascia and barge, same as the rest of the roof. And once again, if the pitch is not given and you need to figure it out from a drawing or sketch, you've got that ellipsis button again where you can say, right, measure from image and bring the image back in, and if you're a bit of an airhead and you didn't write the number down, just do it all again. And okay, the pitch is whatever it is. There we go, about 65 degrees. That's pretty good. I'm going to go with 65, and we hit OK, and 65 goes in the box. So these other questions relate to how far along the line the veranda starts and stops, but in this case we're not going to worry about that. We hit preview, and that looks pretty good, so we hit OK, and we've now built a veranda on that side of the roof. And just real quick, we'll add one on the other side, and it's the same parameters, which will make it easy. So wall line, no, we want the fascia line. Yes, no, there's no more. Right click, which side of it, left click there. All the same numbers, and we hit preview. Bingo, that looks good. And we hit OK, and it goes in. So that's that part of the roof. That's looking pretty good, actually. It sort of even looks like a barn. But now I want to put this part of the roof in, and we'll do a similar sort of thing as before. We'll trace the outline here. I'm going to snap 45 degrees and plus or minus 10 mil, hit OK, and now down here we've got this bit hanging out the end. What I would, I can go across here and add that later, but I find it easier to simply use my cursor to see how the lines going through the other lines there. I can use my cursor, and if you want to get to zoom in and get closer and be more accurate, we line that cursor up and left click there and start it out in fresh air, because I can cut this out later on using our modify roof cutout function. So then same on the other side, I want line up with that line, left click there, and now it gets a bit tricky. I just want to go anywhere past there. Right click, close square, and the pitch, that was the same as the main roof, 26.5. We'll run with that. Now I'm not sure what the eave height is, but I'm just going to hit OK on the 8 meters, and that'll put it in at the same eave height as this fella. So we'll hit OK on that, gable end each end, and you'll see what I'm doing in a minute, so and you'll understand. There's one part of the roof, we're ready to go there. Now we're going to put our porch on this side, similar sort of exactly as we did a minute ago. No, yes, out there, and we're going to use the same height at wall. That's fine. Actually, what we do before I do that, I'm just looking at this and thinking about it. If we look at the right side, you'll see, oh, this is no good. It's up in the air, and the apex of this ridge has to be just below there, otherwise it won't work. It doesn't match the drawing. So, but what height is that? We need the height. Zoom in a bit. We need the apex of that ridge to be just below that line, which we know to be 8 meters, but we don't know where that is. So if we use the function here, check, measure, distance between 2 points, and middle button snap the end of that line there, and middle button snap the apex of the ridge, you will see that it displays the X, Y and Z, or if you're in North America, Z. So X, Y, Z of the start of the line, or the measured point, which was that one, and the end point, which is that one. So we've got the Z height of there is 8 meters, Z height of there of 9326. So the delta between in Z between there and there is 1326. Now I want the apex of that ridge to be just below that line. So what do? Well, we go back to our top view for a minute, and we use the group function to move this roof down, say 1350. Now, something to bear in mind, when you're in the construct roof mode, the move, stretch, copy, delete buttons relate specifically to line work, because when we're doing smart lines, these are all your smart lines functions. Our primary focus is on getting the lines right and then putting the planes in later. And so we want the ability to move, stretch and copy lines. But in this case, we're going to grab that entire section of the roof. So if we go back to the modify roof function, it's now a group move, stretch and copy function. So the icons look the same, but they actually have different functions between construct roof and modify roof. So what are we going to do here? We're going to try and move this entire part of the roof down by an amount. Now, when you're selecting stuff, I'll just do it out here in fresh air. If I want to select a bunch of entities, left click and drag the pick box, notice it shows that inside that box is, well, what it means is what I'm trying to select has to be entirely inside the box. So if I go down there, it only gets the planes on the end. But if I do the same thing and go from the bottom up and left, so bottom right, top left, notice it's changing there to say inside and crossing. So in that case, anything that happens to be crossing the boundary will be picked up. It doesn't have to be entirely contained within. So if I come from down here and go up there and grab all that, it appears to have grabbed everything. Now in fact it hasn't, because it didn't grab the end plane there. But notice that I've grabbed it just went across those planes and the lines defining them, and it's picked them all up. So that's a pretty handy piece of kit. It depends on where you are, what you're doing and how you want to do it, what works the best. But in this case, what I would do, because I know I want just that and nothing else, so I'm going to go from the top left, bottom right, and get everything inside my box. Now I've got the end plane as well, and I've selected all the entities I wish to move, so we go right click. Do you want to do that? Yes. And notice now it's prompting, always read your prompts, locate the initial point. So I left click anywhere. So now I've got that entire roof by a handle. Doesn't matter where the handle is, because now I'm going to move those things, because now it's prompting for the final point. I'm going to move those things up and down, and that's the Z-axis. So the final point can be defined by I for incremental. So incremental from where I'm currently holding it in the Z-axis, Z-axis, and I want to move it down 1350, 1350. So in the prompt area up there, I'm actually telling it what I want it to do. Incrementally from where it is now, the Z-axis, hang on guys, just as well we looked at that. We want to go down, don't we? Minus 1350. And enter. So now when we have a look at our right view, it was up here and it's now 20 mils below that line, which is what we wanted it to do. Okay. So back to our top view, and now we can add our porch, because now we've got this part of the roof at the right location relative to the main roof. So back to construct roof, track outline, we're going to add verandas, that's right. So we're going to add a veranda out here, and do you want to use that? No. Now, something else to, a little tidbit for you. For those who are not as accustomed using our software as most, this, whenever you get this box, yes, no, cancel, that relates specifically to left, middle and right. So once you get accustomed to using the software, you don't have to chase that dialog box all over the screen. If you want to say no, you just go middle button no, or select again, middle button no, left button yes, and it just saves a heap of time. There's no more lines for the veranda, and it's out that side I want to do it. Now first point, last point, the height at the wall, well, I don't know what that is, but it's found that from the height of that line. So we're assuming that that's going to be correct, but the width will be different. Let's measure the width. So we want to go from there out to there. 19, that's pretty close to 1328. So let's go 1320, and the pitch will be 65. We preview that and we hit OK, and it goes in. Bingo. So put one on the other side, from there. No, yes, right click, left click, and preview. Good, hit OK, goes in. So we're looking pretty good with this roof. That's now a matter of getting this little lean-to shed thing underneath here, and then we have all the components that comprise this roof. So construct roof, in this case we're going to digitize again. We're going to do the perimeter of our there and over to here. Remember, a complicated roof is just a series of simple roofs, and that's all we're doing. So now in a minute I'm going to intersect all these roof planes, so I don't have to get exactly on the corner. I want it to be through the roof into that next roof, because then when I intersect it, it will figure out where the intersection point is, and then I'll know I'll get it right. So that edge, right click, close square. Is a single slope roof. Now, what did we say that pitch was? 9.5. So the pitch of that is 9.5, and the eave height. Well, that's a tricky one. We know that valley has been drawn so that it comes off exactly at the intersection between those two eaves. So that tells me that the eave of this one is the same as the eave of this one. So if we want to figure that out, I want the I want to measure the height of that. Oh, I'm sorry, I had a coughing fit there. My apologies. Eave height. So, what line are we going to use to figure it out? The eave height of this. This is the eave height we want. First measurement point, snap there. Second measurement point, snap there. And the point defining the eave height will be, that's the line, and the point defining it will be the bottom end of that one, and that's come in at 3819. That's near enough to what we need. So that's the eave height of that line. We want this line to be the same, so we hit OK, and the pitching line will be there, and continue, and it builds the roof. So we check all that from the right view, and it's just bang on, isn't it? Beautiful. Okay, so that's the construction of our basic roof geometry. The 2, 3, 6, 9 elements, seven elements that create this roof, and so now we're ready to let the software loose to do its thing on constructing all these valleys and the intersection between these planes.